Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and it's time finally for more MTG mistakes, and I can't believe I didn't come up with this one earlier. Hey, if this is the 25th one, if it was like a wedding anniversary, what is that? Like the silver anniversary, the gold one, the tinfoil, the styrofoam? Oh, I think it's actually the polyvinyl chloride. So get your wife a PVC pipe. If you didn't bring your PVC pipe for this video, that's fine. I still love you. But seriously, honey, mow the lawn. It's getting ridiculous. That actually is the MTG mistake number 25. It's mow the lawn. I mean, why are you letting it look like a jungle out there? Just kidding. It's actually, don't forget to watch things that are your opponent's responsibility. Now, the two reasons for this are really obvious. One, they could be cheating. Two, they could be forgetting things. And honestly, MTG is so complicated, and you're probably playing at FNM, which is pretty casual. People are going to miss things, unless they make a pattern out of it, or they're a super pro player and they're, making really basic mistakes. Assume they're not cheating, don't be a jerk about it, and just remind them. And usually they'll be embarrassed, and then they'll concentrate on that in the future. It's almost always loss of life. If, somebody cracks a fetch land, they're searching through their deck, they're looking for it, which is, by the way, not the proper order. Paying one life is part of the cost. So before the activated ability goes off and you start looking for the basic land, you have to lose the life. So they search through their deck, search through their deck, they get distracted by, what was the top 5 cards and would I have won, which honestly, do not pay attention to that, do not look at that, little sub tip for you. Then they're shuffling, then they have to remember to let you cut, and by the time all that song and dance is over, they're probably concentrating on what spell they're going to cast with that mana, and they completely forgot to lose their life. Now, one guy who literally had gotten back from a giant tournament like the week before and was still talking about it, missed losing life on 5 of his fetch lands in 2 games. Okay, in other words, he was cheating. You don't forget something like that. It wasn't a new deck that he was running either. He was just literally trying to cheat me because he knew I was running a burn deck. So like I said, if a new player or a mid-range player, or even a pro player forgets a trigger, forgets something, forgets to take damage, forgets about trample, something like that, be watching it. And honestly, just for understanding the battlefield state, you should be watching it. You should think, okay, they played this, here's exactly what that spell does. So the result is going to be they're going to end up with a card in their hand, they're going to be down 2 mana, kind of like, I guess, like a Read the Bones or something like that. Now, that means that their hand size increases by, 1 or by 2 or whatever, and, I should be watching their expression to see if they have a tell about, what they drew. You're following the whole process. It's not like, oh, it's their turn, I'm going to make sure they don't read a card wrong, and then I'm going to daydream and, start sending text to somebody. You can't just leave it up to them, assume that they're going to get everything just absolutely perfect, and not take the opportunity of your lapse in concentration to cheat. You should follow their turn even closer than you follow your own turn, because on your turn, you know what you're doing. You know what your deck does, and you're probably not going to miss something. When they're playing, you want to understand how their deck works, and you want to start, thinking about what other cards are in their deck and that sort of thing. And the best way to do it is just watch every action. Think about every trigger. While they're doing things, picture the stack. And you might catch stuff like, oh, they're casting something on the stack as a sorcery because I cast an instant and they're responding during their first main phase with a sorcery. I mean, even I make that mistake once in a while. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just boost them then. And they're like, oh, no, that's a sorcery. I'm like, oh, crap. And if I would have gotten away with that and they would have, thought about it later, wait a minute, that's a sorcery, they would have assumed I was cheating. So I'm glad they called me out on it because I don't want that image. So really nothing but positivity can come out of you watching all of their actions. Just follow the process and don't forget to ask if you have questions. If you don't understand why they did something that they did, once again, either it's just some mechanic of their deck that you're not familiar with and you really should be, or they're cheating and they're lying. Like one time a guy was playing with a foreign card and he's like, oh, this says blow up creature and then scry 1. And I'm like, wait, why? Or actually, he didn't literally say that. He just started doing it. He picks up a card off his deck, and I'm like, does it say draw? He's like, no, it says scry. I'm like, are you sure? What was the name of that card again? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I don't think that scries. And he was like, oh, hold on, let me look it up on my smartphone. And he was legitimately surprised to find out that that wasn't the scry card. Guys, don't play with foreign cards, especially if you don't know what the damn card does. It was a very expensive card. I think he got a discount for it being foreign, but come on. Oh, and that guy was a judge, by the way. See, whenever I'm telling a story about my old local gaming store, there's always a twist, and it's always worse. It's never taken at face value because the story's always going to get worse. And, you know, I've seen a lot of people, they treat FNM like casual play, and that's fine. I mean, you still don't want to make mistakes. So people say, I'm playing casually. I'm not just going to sit there and process everything and try to predict everything and think about everything and follow everything, you know, like every last little move and what phase it is and all that. You know, I just like to play loose and have fun. But you still don't want to lose a game because somebody played something at the wrong time or something like that. Because, like I said, if you find out about it later, you're going to be like, oh, man, I could have won. You know, there are prizes on the line. You should at least put in a reasonable effort. Not like kitchen table magic, non-FNM, whatever. I mean, if somebody misses a trigger, who cares? You don't even care who wins, usually. So it's totally not a big deal. I mean, if you're practicing with a deck, okay, don't screw up your own deck. And if your friend's practicing with their deck, don't let them screw up their own deck. But if you're just playing for fun, the decks aren't even standard legal anyway, whatever, not a big deal. I mean, that's up to you. That's up to your own personal REL, as they call it, rules enforcement level. The rules enforcement level when I'm playing casual are like no stabbing your opponent. That's about it. Oh, also, don't eat or melt the dice. That was the First Amendment to get passed. So always, always, always watch the logical flow and pay attention to and understand every step that your opponent's taking, because like I said, nothing bad can come out of that other than mental fatigue. Hopefully that helps you guys out a lot, and I'll see you next video.